What up, yo? It's your freaking gamer, the raw guy, and hope you're having a fantastic day as usual. And as you can guess by the title of the video, I am going to be talking about the current situation that's happening around Adobe and why the situation is at its worst because it caught the eye of the US Department of Justice, and also why the US Department of Justice is suing Adobe for that. And without further ado, guys, let's get to the video. First and foremost, let's take a look at what's happening with Adobe in the last few days. It starts by saying here that Adobe defends changes in its terms of service amid Gen AI explosion. Right. So I want to start here. It goes off by saying that the Adobe, the maker of Photoshop and Creative Cloud, has run afoul of its user base with changes to its terms of service that, among others, give it the right to look at your files and existing projects in the name of content moderation. So, for those of you who don't know what this article is talking about, basically, a few weeks ago, Adobe announced that there's going to be a change in their new terms of service. So, in the terms of service, right, they stated that we will have access to your personal stuff on your computer locally and cloudly. Yeah, and that didn't go like well as planned. So here it says in Adobe's words, the changes clarify that the company may access your content through both automated and manual methods, such as for content review. So what they're saying here is that they can use automated to scan your faucet, or maybe when they're trying to say manual method, they mean they can have access to your personal stuff on your computer. They can just go to your computer, take your stuff, and scan it. Right? Now, it goes on by saying here, Adobe's reason for giving itself the right to come through users' content is the detection and removal of illegal content such as child sexual abuse material or CSAM, as well as abusive content or behavior, including spam and phishing. Sorry about this word. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Now, because of my saying that the company also cited the advent of generative AI, a breakthrough technology that makes it easier to create realistic images and human-sounding text and audio. When they say about their generative AI, they are usually talking about their generative AI model called Adobe Firefly, which for those of you who do know it, yeah. And then it goes on by saying it isn't only the company that does this like this, right? Google also does this, Microsoft does this, Meta does this. Basically, every company does this, right? Whereas they use a mixture of automated scanning and manual review to detect CSAM, right? So I'm not going to read about it here, right? I'm going to be reading of why people are mad at Adobe, right? Well, the answer, right, to that, it goes on by saying here, the answer is simple enough, right? Whereas Adobe has access to your personal files, it's a whole nother level of data privacy. Adobe's loose, wide-reaching language could potentially give the company courage to scan, look at, and review any content that passes through an Adobe app, for instance, Photoshop, Substance, any Adobe app, or Adobe Cloud servers. Now, this has erected creators who took to Reddit to complain about these charges, because many of them use Adobe products for a professional work, such as Photoshop, I mentioned, Substance for painting 3D models, Adobe Audition for podcasts, Adobe Premiere Pro for editing videos and stuff like that. That is generally sensitive. Now, a lot of people have complained that Adobe's new terms of service, it states in other words that Adobe at any time, right, they can have access to your computer while you're using their product, right? It means that while you're using while you're using Adobe Substance or Adobe Audition while you're editing your podcast, Adobe can just say, okay, he's using Adobe. Let me just go take his work there, his podcast, or maybe somebody is using Photoshop. Let me go take his artwork there and take it, scan it, and use it for to train a new to train Adobe Firefly. That's basic words in other terms. So, okay, so one such example is NDA work, right? Content that is protected by a non-disclosure agreement. The creator signs such an agreement to get access to files with the exemption that they keep the files stashed away from prying eyes until the date when the non-disclosure agreement expires. It's understandable that people in that space don't want Adobe looking at something the creator doesn't have permission to show, right? So it means that Adobe and the creator signed an NDA showing that you are not allowed to look at my product or my work until this date has expired. Fine, right? Now there has been some controversy on Twitter saying that creators who have tried to do something about it have been met with resistance with Adobe. Now, one example I can say by here, it says that a conceptual artist who goes by the name Sentala posted on X about his experience of not being able to talk to an Adobe customer service representative and not being able to get clarity on why these terms of service is changing. Now, in addition to that, he cancels his subscription to Adobe services, or even he tries to uninstall Photoshop without first agreeing to the new terms of service. Right, and many other people have done it as well, whereas they're trying to get clarification on what this terms of service mean, but those people end up canceling the subscription or even uninstalling Photoshop, right? Because when you're using the product, they can have access to your personal stuff on your computer, right? But Adobe responds with clarification, right? Adobe responds with a clarification, right? They go on by saying that the terms of service updated happened on February 17th, right? Adobe's terms of service webpage says it was last updated on that date and was effective as of on that date, right? Now it goes on by saying here that I'm just going to read what Adobe says here. In addition, Adobe says that it only scans files on cloud servers and not on users' PCs, right? Now, according to the software giant, which is Adobe themselves, they responded by saying Adobe performs content analysis only on content processed or stored on Adobe servers, right? And then they continue to say that we do not analyze content processed or stored locally on your device. That's what they've said when it comes to the new terms of service, right? Now, they're going by saying that the focus of this update was to be clearer about the improvements to our moderation processes that we have in place, Adobe says. Given the explosion of generative AI and our commitment to responsible innovation, we have added more human moderation to our content submissions review processes. The blog post by Adobe, right, also reiterates that Adobe does not train its Firefly AI, which is essentially their AI model, which can generate images like a ChatGPT, Leonardo.ai, and stuff like that. Uses file stash on Adobe Clouds, right? So that thing is based on a whole other level, right? But this doesn't stop there. Even the U.S. Department of Justice is also suing Adobe, right? Because the U.S. also sues Adobe for deceiving subscriptions that are too hard to cancel, right? Now, it goes on by saying here that the U.S. government is suing Adobe for allegedly hiding expensive fees and making it difficult to cancel a subscription, right? Now, when they say Adobe is allegedly hiding expensive fees and making it difficult to cancel a subscription, they essentially mean that whenever a consumer, okay, like let's say me, I'm trying to cancel a subscription, I can't do that because Adobe, they're trying to stop me into canceling my subscription, and they're essentially not allowing me to cancel my subscription. That's what the lawsuit says. Now, the lawsuit alleges that Adobe hides the terms of its annual paid monthly plan in the fine print and behind optimal text boxes and hyperlinks. Right? In doing so, the company fails to properly disclose the early termination fee incurred upon cancellation that can amount to hundreds of dollars, right? Their compensates. Now, when we're talking about the termination fee, right, you're essentially talking about the fee where you would have to pay if you want to terminate your Adobe subscription, right? Now, it goes on by saying here, when customers attempt to cancel, the DOJ alleges that Adobe requires them to go through an anonymous and complicated cancellation process that involves navigating through multiple websites, web pages, and pop-ups, right? And after, it then allegedly ambushes customers with an early termination fee, as I said on the top there, which may discourage them from canceling. Now, this is a way that Adobe uses not for them to make you cancel the subscription. So, like, basically, like, they're trapping you not to cancel the subscription, right? That's what the lawsuit says. Now, the lawsuit also targets Adobe executives Manida Sanwini, the senior vice president of the digital go-to marketing and sales, as well as David Wadwini, the president of the company's digital media business. The complainant says both executives directed, controlled, had the authority to control or participated in the acts and practices of Adobe, right? Now, Adobe didn't immediately reply to a request for comment. Yeah, this is some serious shit that's happening with Adobe. This is some serious stuff that's happening with Adobe. That's some serious stuff. And we will see in the coming weeks what Adobe has to say for themselves. And, and I hope this thing doesn't go to the EU, because the moment this thing goes to the EU, that's going to be a big problem for Adobe. Adobe's going to shit their pants when they do that. So, yeah, and one more thing, right? It's not about the product, right? I have to put my own input here, right? I don't think that Adobe's products are the problem, right? Like, Photoshop is amazing, Premiere Pro is amazing, Audition is amazing, every Adobe product is amazing, right? But how sure are we? Can we trust the company itself when it comes to their products? Because, as it states right now, they are including in their TOS to state that they have access to our content. They can use our work to train their AI model, which is Adobe Firefly, and among other things. So I will closely see what happens with this story with Adobe. But anyway, guys, I thank you so much for watching the video. If you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And as always, stay frosty.